Jalam Gambhirudar Mutai Naman Samanta Badarya Samanta Tishe. Venerable monks and nuns, District Adult Education Officer, Block Education Officer, teachers, and many other important workers in the field of education, and dear students. This is the second time I was asked to communicate in English. And that's a little funny. The audience are mostly members and speaker is in Tibetan, and the subject is about Bhoti language, but the medium of communication is English. Sometimes situation creates such funny combination which makes things quite complicated. I think the sun is quite strong. People should keep something on head. You have heads or something. If someone feels uncomfortable, then they may shift to the shade also. As I mentioned before, to talk about the importance of Bhoti language, my English is inadequate, and the subject Bhoti language is very vast and have a number of facets about this. And thirdly, I have been retired from public life as well as academic life. So my informations are not up to date. Whatever I have in mind is 10 years or 20 years, 10 years or 13 years old. In spite of that, I will try to talk about the importance of Bhoti language as I have conceived or I see it. It may not be acceptable to everyone, but my is just a proposition. You can consider it, examine it, analyze it, and if there's something acceptable, only you should accept. Otherwise, not to accept somebody, some elderly people have said it. The Buddha's basic teaching was that the monks and wise people do not believe whatever I have said because you have devotion to me. As a goldsmith examines the gold by rubbing it, by burning it, by cutting it, similarly, my words should also thoroughly examined, and if you find it truth by yourself, only you should accept it. So we are followers of Buddha. We should not be carried away. Whatever things are said by someone, it is for your consideration, for your examination. You must use your own rational and your own logic to examine it and find it for yourself. We are talking about language, the Bhoti language. And first of all, we must understand what means language. Language is a medium, a very powerful medium to communicate among the humanities to each other. It is the expression of physical and vocal combined, like electricity wire, negative and positive comes together and which gives light. Similarly, the vocal and physical expression which combines to make a medium to relate humanity to each other and to express or to give what inner mind is thought about. Aristotle have very beautifully said that language is the representation of human mind and experiential knowledge. And writing is the representation of the speech. So I think it is quite a good definition about language. Expression of the mindset. Human mind has a number of thoughts and which can only be expressed through a vocal sound combined with the physical gesture. So that is the language. Although the entire humanity is equal and one, but by different biological position, different regions and places, there were developed so many different kind of language. Although humanity is one, but there are barriers from people to people, from place to place, because the differences of the language setup. I don't know today, but about 10 years before, according to the UNESCO report, in this global earth, 7,168 languages are still working, alive in, and out of which 43% are in danger. So during this last 10-15 years, I don't know what have changed, but about a decade ago, there were 7,168 languages, are living languages in this planet Earth. Actually, the Bharat, now we call India in English, and in our language it is Aryavart or Bharat. A vast country. During Buddha's time, it was almost the 1/3 of the earth. It's very vast for territory, and which was the source of the oldest languages and writing system. According to the historians, I don't think any other language or any other script or any other literature in the world which are older than the early Indian letters, language, and scripts. Bharat is right from the beginning multinational and multi-language country in which so many nationalities and also so many different languages speakers are living together harmoniously and peacefully. Ancient Indian system, the languages are in 4 categories. The first is Sanskrit, Sanskrit means well-composed language. Sanskrit. Then the second is Prakriti. Not very well composed, but it is naturally spoken by the people. And the third is upper branch, that means little corrupt. From the Sanskrit, little corrupt is Prakriti, and then from Prakriti to upper branch is more corrupt. And then the Pishachi, that means ghost language, and that's all corrupt language. So this four category combines all kind of languages spoken in the world. So the classification of this four category combines entire languages spoken in India during Buddha's time, and therefore the most of the literary language used to be the well-composed language Sanskrit. And majority of the Indian languages, which includes Bhoti language as well, are a production of Sanskrit. From Sanskrit, these different languages, in accordance with need of the locality, which were later on composed and invented, and scripts also invented. So little by little and gradually, majority of the northern Indian languages which exist today are basically come out of the Sanskrit, and their grammatical rules are largely governed by the basic grammatical rules of the Sanskrit language. Regarding Bhoti language, until now, the majority of the Bhoti language speakers have not studied in depth what is the nature of this language and what is the historical background of this language. Few years back, I suggested one of the Himalayan leaders that you should have a comprehensive study and research about the Bhoti language. And the Institute of Languages in Bangalore has all the facilities to do such research work, and a team of workers who can do this for 3 or 4 years, and then people should know what was, how it come into being, and what was and how it is today as a Bhoti language, a very unique and outstanding language among the 7,000 odd languages living today in this world. Today, the linguistics, Bhasha Bijanic, they have their own concepts, and I have disagreements, number of points disagreements with them. But of course, no one has did research in depth on this. So, whose concept is true and the other is false is very difficult to decide. But today, I will mention about my disagreements about the position of the modern language centrist idea about the Bhoti language, and what we should try to find out what are indeed the reality. Basically, language must have a written system, script, and a vocal expression which does not have a written system, a script, that is not a language. There's only dialect, it's called dialect. In our own language, Bhasha, Bhasha means it must have a speaking system as well as a writing system. And Buli may have written system, may not have written system. Some of Bulis are of a branch of Bhasha. Some of the dialectics are corruption of a language, and many of dialects are independent, that it is not coming from language. It is coming from a language, then there must be a written system. So script and the vocal expression goes together. If there is no script to write on paper, then a speech cannot be make a cultural or tradition, or it become sustainable for generations to generation. So language must have a written system as well. 1819, the British government have done languageal survey in India, and during that period, they found India has 179 different languages at that time in usage, and 544 dialects, Bulis, that also used in India. So now that is 100 years ago. I don't know what is present situation. At that time, they also recorded 25 different scripts which are prevailing in India in written system. So that was quite large. But I don't know whether this survey included Bhoti language in that or not. I have no verification. Now, the language scientist has classified the Indian languages in 5 groups. They grouped up 5 groups. And the first is called Indo-Aryan language, the ancient Indian language. Indo-Aryan, that is Western have coined the word. And the second is Dravidian language. Mostly, the Dravidian language is mostly the Southern Indian different languages included in that group. And the third is Austeric family, that I don't know what then. It may be relating to Australia and New Zealand, something like that, influence into that. Then the fourth is the Tibeto-Burmese family. Tibeto-Burmese. Burmese now that means Myanmar, today's Myanmar. The fourth is in that. And the fifth is other languages, not grouping in these 4 languages, the other languages they consider. So, according to their position, the Bhoti language is within the Tibeto-Myanmar, Tibetan-Burmese family group. They included that. So, which I do not agree. Similarly, the scripts are also classified into 4 categories. The first is the Indus Valley script. Indus Valley script means the ancient Indus Valley from where the Indian culture were considered to be originated. And the second is Brahmi script, Sangpe, that means the Devanagari, which we are using today for Hindi and others. And the third is Kharoshti. Kharoshti is not much now in use, but there are many ancient manuscripts are in that script, Kharoshti script. Then the fourth is modern writing system. That is so many people, so many things, including the Roman alphabet and so on and so forth. So basically, Indus Valley script and Brahmin script, Kharosthi script, these three are the original scripts of the Indian civilization, which are very, very ancient. For example, the Brahmin script is considered to be used in usage and has many inscriptions on metal plates or stone, and the archaeological research found some of the oldest Brahmi scripts are 1900 BC. 1900 BC means very early. No other script found in such ancient time. Similarly, the Kharosthi scripts are found in inscriptions on metal plates or stones, 500 BC. BC means before Christ. So these are the oldest scripts of the world, I can say. And since the Bhoti script is coming from Brahmi script, so the scripts also not only arise in after the Thubten Sampo's finding the language and the script, it was in usage in this ancestors' group in usage in much earlier time. Bhoti language, what does mean Bhoti? During Buddha's time, Bhoti is used for a vast territory which is beyond the Himalayan mountains. Beyond Himalayan mountains means that from India, it is north. North is complete northern India is covered by Himalayan high mountains, and according to geological science, this is Himalayan mountains are very young mountains, and it is come quite later on, and still it is growing. Each year, some centimeters are growing. So when you cross the Himalayan region, Himalaya range, then there would be high plateau, means a flat over the north side of the Himalaya. And that is called by Buddha as Bot or as Himavat. There are two different expressions. One is Bot. Bot is later on upper branch, corrupt the Pud. Pud is not a Tibetan language. It is a Sanskrit language, Bot, and later on the pronunciation is a little corrupt, and it is become Pud. And Bot, or the other word is Himavat, Kawachan. These are available in the Buddha Sutras, and he always refers to the northern side of the, so which covers entire Himalayan region, and then the plateau of the beyond Himalaya. Now, today the people used to call the roof of the world. The Tibet is the roof of the world because it is the plateau beyond the Himalayan. So that is the Bot. And thereby the language speaking in that territory is called Bhoti language. And Bhoti language is included in the Indian languages, or it is not included in the Indian languages. That is debatable. Today, many people think that it is not a part of Indian language. That I do not agree, because it is a extension of Sanskrit. As long as Sanskrit remains Indian language, the Bhoti language will also remain Indian language. Of course, the language need not to be nationalized, divided. In spite of that, if we call whether it is Indian language or it is non-Indian language, then it's very difficult to say it is non-Indian language, because it is an extension or a branch of Sanskrit language. Usually we consider the present Bhoti language and a script is invented by Thubten Sampo, and with help of Acharya Sudat of Nalanda and Acharya Brahmin Libikar. By these two helps, he invented the Bhoti language, its script from the at that time prevailing in India, the Brahmin Devanagari script. So that is only in the 7th century. But before that, Tibet exists, and the people used to have communication. They have language. So Tibet language or the Bhoti language is started from Thubten Sampo. That is wrong. Apart from that, Buddha's Parinivan, after Buddha's Parinivan, 600 years passed, and in the Shambhala, Rigden Pemakapo ruled, and he wrote the great treatise Bimala Prabha. Bimala Prabha is commentary on Kalchaka Tantra, and in that he mentioned many languages, and in that he explicitly languaged the Bhoti language, Tibet language. After Buddha's teaching of Kalchaka Tantra, different languages have been the Tantra has been recorded in the many different languages. Among them, one was the Bhoti language. So, Bimala Prabha is now available in Sanskrit, original, as well as the Tibetan translation. So it was mentioned. That is in the early 1st century AD. After the passing away of Buddha, only 600 years passed, and in the early stage of the Christian era. So Bhoti language was mentioned in that treatise. So therefore, the Bhoti language do exist, and it might be written in different scripts other than the Burmese script. That can be possible. But we have no very historical evidence whether Bhoti language has a different script before Sampo or not. It is still debatable among the scholars. Many scholars from Buddhist tradition, the pre-Buddhist Dharma in Tibet, they consider that before Thubten Sampo's invasion of the Tibetan script, there was a script which called Shangshung script. It was argued by many scholars, but until now, we do not find any archaeological or historical evidence, such inscriptions or what kind of script it was. So it is just a proposition. There might be some other script, or there might not be any script for the Tibetan language. But Tibet exists as a people, then they must have a language, and that language must be Bhoti. So that is logically language comes first, and then the grammatical rules and the script comes later. As far as the present script is concerned and the grammatical rules are concerned, it was coming into being sometime between 653 to 673 of the Christian era, under the leadership of the King Thubten Gampo, by the Temi Sambota, who have done great hard work to come into India. He was accompanied by 20 other students, and he was alone able to study and return back to Tibet. All the rest either died in a way or returned or could not able to acclimatize in India or study thoroughly, and he was only the person. Therefore, the Nalanda Acharyas used to call him Sambot, a good Tibetan. He was only able to complete the study, therefore he was given the name Sambot. So it is not a Tibetan language. Now we call it Sambota, but it is actually Sambot, good Tibetan. So then he was able to make the present grammatical rules and make the alphabet in 34. In Sanskrit, we used to have 16 swar vowels and 34 byajan, the consonant. Each language-based alphabet must have a part of consonant and a vowel. So from the Sanskrit 16 vowel or 16 swar, only 4 has been chosen, and from the 34 Vyajans, 10 was deleted and 6 was added. So only difference is the 6 letters. The rest is all coming from the Sanskrit alphabet or Indian alphabet. So the entire 34 alphabet or the Vyajan and Swar, only 6 is different from the Indian letters. So therefore, it cannot be considered as something different from Indian language group. As far as the scripts are concerned, at that time, the Devanagari used to have 2 different scripts. They are same, but without head and with head. So similarly, in both also Uchen and Ume, these 2 scripts are being developed as per the Devanagari script. And the rest of the Devanagari script, almost same is being copied for the Tibetan Bhoti script. At that time, the most of the scripts are prevailing in Madhya Bharat. Madhya Bharat means UP, Bihar of today. And there is Maithili in the part of Bihar. Maithili was very literally rich, and they have their own kind of script. And Maithili script is almost identical of the Tibetan Uchen script. I have a friend, professor in BHU, when I was in Banaras, and he was an archaeologist and knowing many ancient languages, and he was very proficient in Maithili script. So therefore, he need not to learn Tibetan script, because his knowledge of Maithili script, he can read Tibetan Uchen very easily. and it is 100% identical, the old Manthili script and the Tibetan Huchen script. So, therefore, the script is also copied from the then Indian script and not made new by Thubten Sampo. Now, we shall have to conclude what is Bhoti language. Bhoti language is a language which is a construct of 34 alphabets, that means 4 vowels and 30 consonants, by which a language is constructed. That is considered to be a Bhoti language, or which may call Tibet language also. Bhot is referring to Tibet. So it is very easy to define any language which is constructed of, language is construction of alphabets, and for which we need only 30 consonants and 4 vowels, by which a language is readable, then that is the Bhoti language. Thereafter, from this language, different regions have a different way of speaking, and that become dialect, a local Boli. And that does not mean that Boli does not belong to Bhoti language. So in writing, they might find some difficulty to write exactly what they are speaking, but actually all these words are coming from the Me Bhoti language, and which is become a kind of corrupt upper branch, and thereby the local different dialects are arising, and this should not be considered that it's something different from the basic Bhoti language. Bhoti language, as mother tongue speakers, are lived in presently in 7 different countries. First is India, second is Myanmar, and third is Bhutan, fourth is Nepal, fifth is Pakistan, and sixth is the Tibet, and seventh is the China. If Tibet or China, if we count differently, otherwise 6. In these regions, there are people, mostly in the Himalayan region, the Bhoti language as their mother tongue. And I find very fascinating that Pakistanis living in Gilgit side, the Kargil part of the Pakistan occupied Kargil, they read in the schools the Bhoti language, and all the shops and houses, the main board is written in bold Bhoti script, and the English and Urdu are become smaller. So the photo shown me by some of the people coming from Pakistan Gilgit, they are very well versed with their own mother tongue, and they are trying to preserve it. So I was appreciative of that action. So this is very huge Himalayan region, the different countries they live. Then apart from that, Bhoti language as a spiritual or religious language study, that is Russia, Mongolia, China. These 3, Mongolia and Russia, the 3 small states in Russia, they have to study Bhoti language compulsorily if they join to monasteries, because all their rituals are in Tibetan in Bhoti language, and all the religious studies that they have to do, all the Buddhist scriptures, because they are in Bhoti language, so they have to learn Bhoti language as a religious language, And the majority of the people in Mongolia, they are able to speak and read Bhoti language. And similarly, the Russian states such as Kalmyk and Boryat and Tuva, quite huge states, they are all able to read and write Tibet language. In China, in the past time, most of the Chinese Buddhists, they used to read the Tibetan language, and particularly the entire Manchu nation, they also, like Mongolia, they depend on the entire Buddhist study in the Tibetan language. So I have spoken what is the Tibetan language and what about its history and when it was coming into being and so on and so forth. Now I will little bit talk about its nature, its quality. I would say the Bhoti language is a very rich language and a capable language and a scientific language. So I use the three different qualities. It's rich and it has a tremendous capacity and it is scientific. So why? Because it is parallel to Sanskrit. Sanskrit is considered to be a most scientific language, not by us, by the modern science people. In the 1970s and 80s, when the computer became popular, and they found that among the all existing languages, Sanskrit was the most easy and most perfect for using in computer programs. And therefore, at that time I was from Varanasi, and this Indian government and this, the Indian Council of Philosophical Research and all this, they have done so many workshops and seminars how to introduce the Sanskrit language to the computer programs. And this was a accepted clear fact that Sanskrit language is the most usable for these computer programs. That means Sanskrit language is most scientific language. But the language is not very popular and people are not able to learn it. So therefore later on it was not very success in using the computer. So any language which goes parallel with Sanskrit, that is the only Tibetan language. You might sound it, I am exaggerating. I have made this statement several times, and I ask people to challenge to, if I have wrong stated, kindly let me know by your logic and reason I'm talking the wrong. Even the Indian languages which are come out of Sanskrit, Tibet Bhoti language is much better than those other Indian languages because Thubten Sambota and after the lineage of the Losavas have make perfect the language suitable to translate the Sanskrit canon into Bhoti Wangamai, Bhoti literary corpus. So therefore, it is purposefully made to parallel to go parallel with Sanskrit language. Whatever is expressible in Sanskrit language, that must be expressible in the Bhoti language as well. For example, in Sanskrit language, there are 22 prefixes, we call it Sanskrit upasargas. And all the 22 upasargas are being developed in a Bhoti language. We have the equivalent of the upasargas. It doesn't have even the other Indian language which are very near to Sanskrit, the Telugu and the Tamil. They don't have such upasargas. And the synonyms in Sanskrit language, one thing might be known by many different names, and all these synonyms are not available in other languages. And the entire Sanskrit available synonyms are being available in the Bhoti language. So therefore, for example, in Sanskrit, they write in a poetry form, then they use the meter, chanda. And whatever chanda is written in Sanskrit, we translate in the same chanda in the Bhoti language. So thereby, when some treatise is in pad, they are very easy to reconstruct in the Sanskrit language from the Bhoti origin, because unless you find the exact word what was used in original, you will not be able to make the metric combination. So such parallel and such nearness to Sanskrit, so thereby as much Sanskrit language is rich, that much the Bhoti language is also rich. Apart from that, the Bhoti language is rich because it has a tremendous amount of translated Buddhist texts, which is unparalleled entire human history or history of the 7,000 different languages alive in today. In a Bhoti language, we have the entire translation of Buddha's Tripitak, Buddha's entire teaching, Sutra and Tantra, including. Actually, today, the Buddhist people consider 4 canonical languages for Buddha Dharma. The 4 canonical languages are Sanskrit, Pali, Bhoti, and Chinese language. Pali has only 44 volumes of Tripitak, which consist of only the Sharabakyan teachings. And the Chinese translation of Kanjur Tanjur is also much less than Tibetan Kanjur Tanjur. And the Sanskrit original, almost 90% of the Sanskrit origins are lost. Only 10% are available today. So therefore, we shall have to reconstruct from Tibet version. So therefore, Tibet Kanjur translation, which includes Sutra and Tantra, both 108 volumes in huge volumes, and which now in book shape more than 136 or 137, which includes about 2,000 different titles. And the Tanjur means the commentary literature written by Indian scholars, not Buddha Vachana, but Indian scholars. That is, translation is called Tanjur, which is 234 volumes. I'm speaking about the Dirgi edition, 224 volumes, which consist of more than 4,500 different titles, which is not only religious alone. Secular literature and poetries and astrological things and Chikitsa Vidya, the medicines, Ayurveda, all this including translated into this 2000. So this is the only corpus of translation. No any other country or no any other language has such vast volume, and at the same time the language has, I have said, capacity and quality, the capacity to translate in a totality, not only Bhava Anuvad, only the gross many translation. It is literary translation. So we call it a dajur. That means we are not only translating the bhav, the intention, we are translating the word to word. So such correct translation is only available and possible into the Bhoti language. And now, in the recent time, many science books have been translated and find not difficult. The modern scientific knowledge can also be translated into this language quite easily. So, therefore, it has a capacity, it has a rich corpus of translation which have no parallel, and at the same time, the Tibetans' original writing, after reaching Buddha Dharma to Tibet, the scholars have written so much volumes of literature. So in this world, I don't think any other language has this amount of written literature what have in Bhoti language. So there's no comparison with it. So of course, I have no scientific survey or statistic, but from the gross viewpoint, it is very obvious. There are two different things. The Bhoti language speaker as mother tongue in the populations are not very large. The present language system is only 1,300 years old. In such short period of 1,300 years time, and by small population, Tibet originally used to serve 6 million, and outside Tibet, maybe 12 million. Altogether, I think as mother tongue speaker is 18 or 19 million people. Such small population, such short time, and a huge amount of literature has been written. Even one author like Bodong, 112 or 13 volumes have been composed. So this language has a unique feature of such richness. For new information for the students particularly, now the artificial intelligence, which is talk about time, is now well developed in Bhoti language by Geshe Mulam, and that was just only 7-8 months. The huge corpus of artificial intelligence has been developed, and it is very useful and easy to operate. So, as I have said that this language is more scientific, therefore it is very easy to take programs such as artificial intelligence. So that is also one of the achievements in the recent time. I don't know whether it is achievements or whatever it may be, but it is feasible. Now coming to the importance of Bhoti language to the Himalayan people in general and the people in Mumbai in particular. So I don't think I need to elaborate the importance from outside. This is the Bhoti language is your mother tongue, and your mother's importance should know by yourself, and no one need to talk about your mother is very important for yourself. So it is your pride, the richness and the purposefulness of the language has been, I try to mention, and such language is your mother tongue. That is your identity. And if you are looking for your own identity, then the basic identity of language is indispensable. That is in, um, indispensable part of your life and your pride. And through this, you can serve the entire humanity in a much better way. Look for your um, ancient generation, your ancestors, how much they have achieved by writing, by handwriting, Kanjur and Tanjur are prepared. And in the Mon region, particularly, the Sutra, Dojichipa, was written by almost every house, and the Pajaparamita Sutra. So these are the how great strength and endurance your ancestors have had, and they have how much devotion and effort towards the preservation of Dharma and preservation of language. And therefore, it comes to you intact without any damage. So now it is for you, whether you use it for your own and for the benefit of the entire humanity, or if you have a will to do something beneficial to entire sentient being, then that is the instrument of this your language, your mother tongue. It's a basic instrument which you can use very easily. I will conclude my presentation by saying that you all Indian citizens, and Indian citizens has a particular universal responsibility as Jagat Guru to benefit the entire sentient beings by the ancient Indian wisdom. The entire corpus of ancient Indian wisdom is now only available in the literary form in the Bhoti language alone. There's no any other language which have the entire corpus of the wisdom. So to benefit the entire world by the ancient Indian wisdom as a responsibility of the Jagat Guru as the India, so you shall have to learn your language properly and know the vast, unlimited wisdom which is contained in this literary form, which must be shared to entire world, and that would be your great contribution and your great service to all sentient beings, for which you should be do your best and you should put all possible efforts. So thank you very much for your attention.